どうも皆さん、終わりが見えないことは誰にでもあると思います。このゲームには終わりがありません。私という存在にも終わりがありません。どうも私でございます。いや、最近ね、終わりがないと思うことがよくあるということが多いのでね、本当に終わりのないゲームを今回やっていこうと思います。どういうゲームかって言ったら、永遠とね、終わりを模索し続けるゲームでございます。
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
これはスタントリーという物語。
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on the desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in This is what employee 427 did every day, every month, and although others might have considered it soul Stanley relished every moment of the work.
我この仕事をするために生まれてきたかのように、社畜でございますね。
Was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
あれ。で、慣れたメインの音量をちょっと減らすか。これ人差し指やってんのかな、このカチカチ言ってる音。間違いなく連打する音だよね、これ。キーボードのブラインドタッチング並みに音量を減らしてる。まあ70ぐらいでいいかな。まあ、スタンディーパラブルっていうゲームは、まあ、このナレーターっていう存在がいたんですけど、これに抗うゲームでもあるんですよね。まあ、どういう感じかっていうのは。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
っていう感じで、まあ。
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No, no. I can't just give these merits away for such a measly 5 clicks. I suppose you would have clicked the door 20. I would say that's the kind of recognition.
後継の目標のために真の状況を認めして、なお私は未だ満足感を得られていないと言わざるを得ません。50回クリックしたらどうでしょう。そうだ、きっと50回クリックですよ。50回。うわー、ドアノブーぶっ壊れろーもうゲーだろ。いや、ダメだ。まだ、そんなそう気分になれない。私はこの実績を何かいいかと思います。有価の取り組みは私の欲しいだけダメなんだ。私は何か戦略が欲しいのスタンレー。私、コメペンでは見たいんだ。そのためにいかな取り組みもゆかさと喜んで言いたいという気持ちが、41に20クリックしていかないのの ?47、どこ ?417? いきなりなんか別ゲー始まったんだけど。417、417。ここか。
great.
素晴らしい。
Now, go click a few times
437
on
番
door
をドア数
437.
回クリックしてください。437、あっちにあったか。43だ。
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now,
415
door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or
クリッ
so.
クしてみましょう。415はあっち。こんなゲームです。ひたすらナレーションと付き合っていくゲームでございます。こちら。415。
Now, back to door
それ
number
が437
437.
ドアへ戻って。これね、走らないからね、結構移動が大変だったりする、ね。
Let's see. How about you click on,
コピ
well, I
ー機
don't
にす
know,
るのはちょっと
the
どうなるか
copy
よくわからない
machine.
けど、コピー機。
All right,
さ
back
て
to
と、
room
用意するご一緒に
417.
戻り
I'm
まし
really
ょう。
feeling it now. I think we're
本
getting
当にいよいよだった
somewhere.
気がしてます。417、振り回されてますね。
Okay, now go climb on
従業
employee
員番号419なんで
419's
すけど、戻っ
desk.
てください。登るのですか。ジャンプないんですけどね。419、あっちか。これか
Yes! This is
そう
great!
こ
You're
れ
putting
素
it
晴らしい
all on
ぞ
the line,
違う
Stanley. I
全然
like
だスタ
that.
ンディ
All
そう
right,
ですよ
let's keep
大
it
丈
up.
夫続
Go
け
give
よ
me a
う
few clicks on
416
door
のドア数回
416.
クリックしてうおー1回
We've almost
もうちょっ
got
とだ目
it!
標
Now
達
the
成
copy
だ
machine
さあ
do
例
that
のコ
one
ピー機これを
again!
もう一度やってコピー機は1個しかないいきなり物語が外れましたけどね
Finish it up,
仕上げだスタン
Stanley!
ディ
5 clicks on door 430!
1,2,3,4,5 イエス
We
や
did
った
it!
ぜ
Oh,
お
wow.
うなんて素晴らしい気持ち
Oh, you
君は
really
強強くしたんで
Nothing could
もう
hold
誰
you
もあなたを
back.
引き
Yes,
止め
I'm
られ
really
ません
proud
よ
of how
今
far
日こ
we've
こまで
come
来るととて
today.
もいい方向に思います
Just
考
think, only a few
えて
minutes
みてく
ago,
ださい
nobody
よ
lived an
たった数
achievement
分前まであなたは
was
一つの
worth
実績で
5
5クリックの価値しかないと信
clicks.
じた
Really now.
本当に何考えていたんだまあこんなゲームですひたすらゲームのメタルと付き合っていくそんなゲームでございますいきなり本編から外れたよなさ
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open
ス
doors,
タンリ
he
ーの前に
entered
ず
the
っと開い
door
た
on
ドアが
his left.
彼は左のドアに入りましたそうこっからなんですよねこっからまあナレーターが左って言ったのでまあ私はな今日は右の手の中に右に行こうかなって
This
言っ
was
た
not
ら
the correct way to the
これは
meeting
会
room,
議室
as
新しい
Stanley
道だ
knew
ねさんには
perfectly
ことよ
well.
く知っていました
Perhaps he wanted to
まず
stop
彼は
by the
従業時の演
employee
出に
lounge
それを
first,
褒めたたかな
just
か
to
ったで
admire
し
it.
ょうみたいな感じでどんどんね私の行動に対してナレーションが随時過失修正していくみたいな
Yes, truly a
そ
room
うです。
worth
この部屋は
admiring.
本当に
It
筆
had
づかしあり
really
ます
been worth the
本当
detour
遠回り
after
したが
all,
やったも
just
の
to
だ
spend a few
この
moments
神妙
here
な
in
一つ
this
の美しい
immaculate,
問いの部
beautifully
屋でほんの少
constructed
ししかじゃ
room.
いいのです
Stanley
スタン
simply
リーすご
stood
いた
here,
ち見惚
drinking
れ
it
ま
all
し
in.
た見惚れませんよいしょ
But eager to get
でも
back
早
to
くしようと
business,
思いたくて
Stanley took the
スタンリーは最
first
初に
open
左の
door
ドア
on
に
his
入りま
left.
した左のドアに入ってもな
Stanley was so bad at following
スタンリーは指
directions,
示
it's
しろと
incredible
定め
he
たで
wasn't fired
何にも
years
食いなかっ
ago.
たのが信じられませんやかましいほうほうほう特にそんなどうこう気にするルートはなくていいんですよ
Look, Stanley, I think
だから
perhaps
さ
we've
もしか
gotten
した
off
ら
on the wrong
私
foot
と手間が
here.
くじかれたか
I'm
も
not
しれ
your
ません
enemy, really.
私
I'm
はあなたはで
not.
きないです本当
I
に違うんで
realize that
す
investing in your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
いきなりめちゃくちゃ抗ったけどねいけそうなところはどんどん行っちゃうね Danger everywhere、一言だけでそんな空白言うかね。で今回ね、デラックスエディションというわけで、前作のスタンリーパラブルよりちょっと拡張した要素がね、いくつかあるんで、そこを重点的にやれたらなぁと思っています。別にどっかドアが開くわけでもなし。
Now listen carefully, this is
そして
important.
これは大事なことです。
Stanley walked
スタン
through
リ
the
ーは
red
赤い
door.
ドアを通りました。せっかくだから、俺はこの青いドアを選ぶぜ。
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
青行きまーす。
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
字幕すら赤く書いて、なおかつ主張が激しい。青があるんで青に行きます。
All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
私は我が道を行く人。
You see,
す
there's
が
nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
我が道、左見てあげましょう。
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
フィードバックエリア。こんな 3D 空間に作るべきとこじゃないと思うけどな。フィードバックってこうなんだろうな。2D で文章をパチパチする感じのやつじゃなかったっけ。あれ。どう反応しない。まあ選択肢が増えるのはいいことだけどね。まあ4ぐらいで。
Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you.
明らかに
If
ここ
I
には
can
カ
be
テゴリーがありま
honest
す。
here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this.
どうして
This
いいかわ
whole
からない。
third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
おう。なんか増えた。The Stanley Vtuber Worldwide Record Leaderboard。おう。日々飽きられ続けている。Only one. This is you. まあ、いち早くドアを開けて、Why not ask? 友達いねえよって言われている。Players skip into the Spire。あなたはこの人よりも下ですよって。
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
うるさい、うるさい。うるせえ、うるせえし、これ以外押すものが何もないし、はめられた。新しいゲーム作るって言ってクソゲーやらされる。クソゲー置かれた、放置された。これがやるもんないもんな。暗闇の中になんか壁。なんもなーい。なんもなーい。4時間やるのこれ。本当に4時間やるつもり何の音沙汰もないよ。やらなきゃいいか。指示に従わなければいいのか。でも慈悲深いけど。
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me?
Yeah, I don't
know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes. This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Ah, fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
これはなんだ。広大な空が広がっている。青空が広がっているが、外は階段すらあった。ジャンプできない。これ本当に実際にあるゲームなんか、それともこのゲームのために作られたゲームなのかわからないけど。提出するゲームなのか。
Oh no. No, it can't be.
はい。なんか矢印、看板ある。
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
タイプする。
Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any...
進むべき壁作られた。
We avoided it.
どこにも行
Out
け
of the
ない。
woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice,
壁
big,
のあるもの。
insurmountable
何かいい
walls.
感じのうち乗り越えない壁があるやつ。おー、フォールなんちゃらかな。
Okay, I think this will be just the thing. Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind.
ロケットリングだ。
Big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here.
ロ
Now
ケットリン
this
グ始
is
まった。
game design.
別
Stanley, if
ゲ
you
ー始
manage
ま
to
っ
get
た
lost
し
in this game,
選
I
手
will
い
be
ねえし、ボ
phenomenally
ールもねえ
impressed.
し。
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's
い
see.
や、サッカー
There
し
are
ろ
lots
よ。
of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports
Sports
ball.
ball.
Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together? Yes, I think surely we must.
Ball
Okay,
do go.
Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
おい。完全協力だね。どっちが赤どっちが私いや、私、青が好きだから赤を。
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun?
ちゃんと
Is it better than
早
my
い
story that I worked
急
so
に速く
hard
なった
on? Stanley, I have a thought, and I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here
他
comes
のボー
another
ルも
ball.
試しようと思う。他のボール。
Yes. Oh, goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls.
うわめっちゃ増えた。あーやったな確かにこれ。ひたすら体育倉庫にあるボールをひたすらに運動場に出して、蹴ってボールに入れまくるや
Are
つ。
you enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun?
ちょ
Is
っと
this a
懐かしい。
real video game?
やったもん。こ
Well, I
のタイ
sure
プ。
hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over. That's right. Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes.
Wow.
You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I am structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley. 日向ぼっこでもするか。網に寄りかかってでも。 Hold on. What are you doing?
おい。
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
ペンがあれば、なんとでも。ベータ版とか。完全にクズガコ的なところなんでしょうね。うわぁ。オンライン。完全に一番下まで来たか。アルファ版みたいな。めちゃくちゃ押してきたなぁ。エレベーター前みたいな。こっから完全に迷路ゲーになるかな。じゃあ多分戻ってんだろうなこれ。4、2、3。光ってるわ。こっ 8なんだろうけど、あ、427だ。自分の部屋。ボイスのなんかやつがあるけど。なんだ？こっちじゃないか。
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Oh. 11時20分。現在10時26分でございます。全然違いますね。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ナレーターさんに立ち向かったりしながらっていうゲームでございます。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左行きましょう。一つの選択肢の分岐からいろいろ抗うものがあったりするんで。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Do not alter without the commerce whiteboard. ID ハテナマークって何？グループ430。ちゃんと土日休みやるんだ。いい会社だね。ターゲット。Whom the MIND.THE。あれが変わってるわ。Number of side on the。日本語わからない。じゃない、英語わからない。
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
やばそうだな。やばそうだな。上行こう。トイレ、何？トイレ。トイレタイムの雑誌がある。パンツに向けられてんだよ、銃口が。 止まるボタンがない。上に上がり続けてる。うわぁやばい。上昇負荷で体ぐっちゃぐちゃになるんじゃねえかな、これ。違い出す。ナレーターさんが歌ってるよな、これ。止まるこれ。あ、止まったわ。変わってねえし。閉まんないのかよ。そして。下は逆に下はどうなの？上はもうずっと巻き続けてあれだとしても。これ何の部屋？エレベーターに乗った気で入れられる部屋？上向いて、エレベーターの時どうしても上向くから、その時に長考するっていう感じの部屋なのこれ。なんちゅう部屋だ。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who...
ちょっと、成田さん、ちょっと、置いていきぼりになってますけど、ちょっと。積んだはー。下行ってみるか。じゃあ。どうせ上行けないんだら下行った方がいいよな。よいしょっと。あれ。さっきこう、閉まってたよな。閉まってたっけ？開いてたよな。あれ。なんか頑張れば壊れそうだね。他のドアとなんかノブの音が違うよ。なんもないけど。そんなことにはノブの音は同じだわ。でも戻るしかないってことかい。左だけ空いてるわ。左だけ空いてるけど。組み立て途中。あ、ちちて。インプット。なんちゃら。なんか起動したけど。うん。You are now何 leaving? ちょっとわかんないな。エスケープポッドベイフルはない学習。4でもあって432だけど。エレベーター使えないんですか？ずっと上がってる感じか。本当に逃げれるんですか？とてもそうとは思えないんですけど。な56。どっか開きそうだよな、これ。流されるもんは済んでってけど、なごな。なごはち。飽きそうにない。なご9。 エスケープ。432で変わってなくね？文字が。The escape pod will enter the delay post。文字バグってねえか。ああ。エスケーあれ。脱出不可避。ガーハ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
終わりがないよ。終わりなんてない。終わりなんかない。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
さっき置いてくれたからちょっと左行こう。下行ってみるか。逆にちょっと従ってみる。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up. Oh no, oh no, 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 not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
What? なんかあるか？あれ。まあ。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
階段があったのでって。まあ上行きますけど。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
知らないなら別に押さなくていいよね。ピアノ弾ける？指動かせない。
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
知らなかったら打てるわけねえじゃねえか。せめてなんか天井にでもいいから2845って書いとけ。
2845.
いや書けよ。いや書けよ。どこでもいいからそのヒントを周りに書きたまえ。せめて。
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in. And the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
えらいこっちゃーじゃなくて。もし本当にそのシステムがあったとして、普通に欠陥。2、1、4、5。まあ、だからなんだって話だけど。なんもないね。 いけるわけではない。ただ闇見てるだけか。なんもならない行くしかないよね。上ボタンあるから、上ついたら上を押そうぜ。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
上あるわ。上行きます。
Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out.
なんか見えた。ただいまー。あれ下なくなってるけど。
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office.
Hi.
Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have. An incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow. I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
あれパスワードが違う？なんかあるのか？なんかありそうだよな。パスワードが違う？ 2845 でさっきいけたのに。なんだ？なんかありそうだよな。2845違うっていうならどっかになんかありそうな気がするけど、ないのかな？ないのか。あつかまた下がある。
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this?
早いな、また上あるし。上行こう。上に参ります。
Did you think we were going to go forward down a spooky
Vtuber
corridor?
すると思いましたか？違うよ。
It's time once again to go back up in the elevator.
ボタ
I
ンを
can't
消
even
せ。
begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
いやー、なんとね、上に行ったら、なんと、上司のオフィスでございました。エレベーターまた点灯してないし、また行ったり来たり繰り返してんだな。
Oh my god.
Yeah!
It's the boss's office.
フレンドパー
This
ティーの
absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a time out here for a minute while I process this.
水取り、水飲み帳みたいなね。プリーズホールド。
Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No! No, wait! No! I need more time to process.
何するつもりだ。めちゃくちゃ回収しまくってる、この一瞬で。多分上に行くボタン消し去ってんのかな、下にいた時に。
All right.
あれ
I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
何したんだ。あ、下だね。
Of course. Going back down at the elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
押して何を回収した貴様は。ほら。はい、言います。何も言わなくなった。
You know what?
はい。
I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice and slow? There we go. Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. Where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises, to have to think and to anticipate and then to marvel at the eventual reveal? This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years. And it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley. Because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why, though I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you, so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better. Oh good, we're here.
あ、もう押せないんだ。てか作ったのかわざわざ。
Okay, the room where we're holding the press conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
でなんか元の軸にAll eyes on live on stage。スタンディに全ての目が向けられる。ほうほうほう。ザ・ストーリーと。ストーリー程度ってなんかさっき言ってたね、ナレーターさんも。舞台裏の景色ではないよな。
Ah, yes, here it is, just through this door.
The Stanley tonight. スタンディ一色だな、おい。これ戻されてるよな、完全に。エレベーター抜けさせた感じがある。無理やりにでも。明らかに雰囲気が違いすぎる。 Doing great.
All right, are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry, you'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley. Okay, it looks like they're ready for you. Go get them.
ああ、舞台裏的なね。楽屋みたいな。インドアーズハウンティ。アップアゲンダウンアゲン。エレベーターの話してる、さっきの。Congratulations, remember where you came from. 喜ぶ。ゴルフやる。なんか、スタンディーミーだと。あ、いろんな人からのね、応援メッセージ的なものが送られてきてるんだ。でも、スタンディーじゃなくて427なんだな。相変わらず、番号読みらしい。ストーリー性ね。ああ、記者会見という場にはあまりにも輝きすぎている。ライブ会場や。ああ。ドキドキドキドキドキドキドキドキ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ドキドキしちゃったね。まあね、人の緊張ってのは、もう本当に凄まじいものを
Stanley
感じ
came
るか
to
ら
a set of two open doors. He entered the door on his left.
これがデラックスのうちの一つでございますね。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
スタンディー・パーブル、デラックスになる前の
Yes,
話はなん
this
となく
room.
知って
What
る
a
んですよね。
beautiful room.
ちょっとちらっと
What
見
a
て気になっ
gorgeous,
たんですけど、
gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
さすがにか。まあなんかあったけど、新要素を探していきたいし、会議室に戻った。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer
封
there.
鎖された。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Yeah. 怖い。
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
主人公は答えです。
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Stanley 死んじゃった。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
まあ、変わり映えはないですよね。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
普通に行ってみましょうか。1回。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
なんかかかってきた。ニューエイジミュージック。RTA を許さない。
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
これ最速とかあんのかな。最速で言ったらなんかやけにめちゃくちゃ速いなお前みたいな。これでまたエレベーターの上に表示あったら面白いけどな。あるし。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Wow.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
あれ。
Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the mind control facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours. So here you go. New content. You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave? New content? Always more content, more content, more.
Deluxe.
And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game. It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special you are. We call this track Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Well done.
そのままずっと喋れてるんだろうな。
Good job, you did it. Good job.
あれ、一旦先ほど出るか。
Good job, you made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. You jumped on the catwalk. You should have been careful. You should have been careful. It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending. I believe in you. I believe in your ability to cross this barrier and chase your dreams. Railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
戻された。ただ曲だけ流されて終わった。
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
Yeah.
No, No, the orders were still missing. For now.
まあなんやかんやね、コンテンツが増えていってるのでございます。これが楽しいウルトラデラックス。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
ここすら違ったりするのかななんて。
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room? But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
まっすぐ行ってみてもいいですけどね。さっきの赤ドア。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
壊さないでくださいねって。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
信用素、信用素。
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. Oh, no, you can't. Did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person.
It's mine.
I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember, that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
何が正解だったのかななんて。そういうわけじゃないんだな。
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
登れねえかな。登れねえか。さすがに登れねえか。さすがにいけないのか。どっかドアが開いたりしないかな。
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
右。
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
正面から見て右左でも僕の方では一人右。あっちは言うけどこっち言うけど正義の道は正義なのさ。はあ、どっこいしょどっこいしょ。
It's ruined. I can't believe after everything we talked about that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to. I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Nightshark 115.
Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Nightshark 115. まあ、通じるはずないんですけどね。
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step. Okay, fine, you're not going to do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You... When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice.
It's end.
I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong.
スタンディという存在から抜け出してエンドです。
Choose. Do something. Anything.
ゲームの領域から外れたということが終わりである。
So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice.
ごめんね、ディロイ。誰だ、ディロイ。
I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
誰だ、ディロイ。ディロイさんは誰ですか？
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken. But Stan... No, the orders were still missing. For now.
はい、ちょっと。はい、ちょっと。開かなくなったよ。ちょっと。開かなくなっちゃったよ。開かなくなっちゃったよ。はあ、戻った。
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
もう記憶なくなっちゃった。Oh, end.THE NEVER.WHERE.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
鉛筆削ってるだけの仕事がある。The end is never.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
終わりなどない。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
しゃがみがあるからな。なんか変わってね。マネーズモーニング、マネーズデイページ、マネーズブレイクスト、マネーズクロップス。変わってんな、なんか。金言う。
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
上陸し始めた。まあ、あれですね。素直に一回行ってみましょうかね。まだ上あるし。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
CC 케이블 들이 427ほほなんかいくつかバグったりするし、ファイルドって書いてるやつもあるし。だから宇宙人大好きっ子な人もいるし。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
ここで出ないとなったらどうなるんだろうか。放置することによるエンディングとか。
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
でも終わりはない。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
New content.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
露骨なコンテンツ増えてんぞ。あ。
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
Why?
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
めっちゃんこワクワクしちゃう。なんかレール私もう一回見れそうじゃない？こっち側に。つか、何が起こるんだこれ。
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
新コンテンツとか言う割にはあんまりなんか
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
開けたなぁ。デラックス、ウルトラデラックスというよりはやけに開けたなぁ。
Alright. Alright, let's see. It's the jump circle?
おー。あ。はい、ジャンプした。よし、よし、よし、よし、よし、よし、よし、よし、よし、よし、よし、ジャンプスカットかな。ジャンプスカットね。寒い中、ジャンプしてね、体を温めるとね、湯気も消えたってね、雪も出ちゃうぐらいね、熱くなっちゃうするんだよね。ああ。
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
変えるか。元のやつの方がまだ良かったと思う。変えれねえし。いや、これあれはニューコンテンツって何って言って、既存のルートに戻るのもなんかありそうだよな。エレベーターあるし。
Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
誰たかたかまなたななななね誰初見さんかないらっしゃいます。何者だ。何者なんだ一体。てか、10月、つい最近の方ですね。まあ、ゆっくりしてってちょうだいな。なんか壊れるわけでもなく、
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley?
Thank you for
This is what
new
happens
contest.
when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
てて。ちょっとなんかもうちょっぱなニューコンテンツ始まったけど。はい。なんか、何ここ。はい。これはどういうまだ新コンテンツは終わってないよな、これ確実に。いつも通りの知識かと思った。
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
完全に多分戻ったあれだろうな。そっか、しゃがみ要素。ここで来るのがしゃがみ要素。しゃがみというのもね、デラックスの要素の一つでございます。
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
一気にゲームの舞台変わったな。
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
過去の方がいいっつっちゃってるよ、ナレーターさん。昔の方が良かったっつっちゃってるよ。The Memory Zone.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
はい、シロさんどうも、こんばんは。今現状、ウルトラデラックス版となったスタンディーパラブルを、 なんか、昔の方が良かったよねっていうのを振り返るやつをやってます。Don't forget! 忘れるな、かつての栄光。これがね、初期のスタンリー・パラブルの絵です。2013年、スタンリー・パラブルがリリースされた年。めちゃくちゃ。これね、考えるな感じのゲームなんで、ダートエディション。2014年になんかスタンリー・パラブルがめちゃくちゃいい賞を見る。オーディエンスアワードで受賞したって書けるね。これは多分、捏造。オリジナル。Our First Kiss。オリジナルのスタンリー・パラブルの方が良かったよねっていうのをめちゃくちゃ書いて、めちゃくちゃやってる。メモリーラン、スマイル、because happened。なんでお札飾られてんだ。デモ版ね。スタンリー・パラブルのデモ版が飾られてる。で、かつての実績かなこれ。知らない人くらい見たら完全にネタバレなんだけど。ベータ版のさっきの複雑構造のところのやつが飾られてる。これもアワードなのかな。アワードの実際に賞は受賞してるんでね。嘘ではないんですけど。さすがにこれは捏造だろう。さっきの肉シーン。知らないゲームです。結構ね、メタゲームです、これ。メタ的要素があって、ナレーション、まあ今、ナレーション今聞こえてこないけど、それらを、なんか流れ始めた。
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now, it's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
下何？下はメモリゾーンメンテナンス。細かいね。そうそう。昔のスタンリー・パーブルにはね、なんか、マインクラフトの画面があったんだよね。なぜか。2013年版には、マインクラフトが入ってたっていう謎の、そう、ポータルも入ってたんよ。はちゃめちゃ。とにかくはちゃめちゃ。パーソン・オブ・ザ・イヤー。これマジで制作途中の画面じゃないだろうな。スタンリーとね。さっきの女の人のやつ。やってくれてる人の絵とか、いろいろ飾られてらっしゃる。29?
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
まあ世の中にはね、完全なるオリジナルの方がいいっていう人は結構いたりするんで、まあ気持ちはわからなくもないけど、なんだろうね。あれザ・シリーズ、あった。このシリアスルームっていうのが、2013年のスタンディ・ファルブで、チートコードを使ったら生きるっていう謎の部屋なんですよね。通称、反省部屋でございます。こんなところもあるんだな。あれ
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
なんか荒廃してんですけど、メモリーゾーンがなんかして。
Oh no! Oh God, no! Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
これ2013年のやつ見ないと多分ナレーターさんのあれがめっちゃ切れてます。そうゲームのナレーターさんはただのナレーターではなく実際に生きてるような感じの人物なんですけど悪い評価ばかじゃなかったでしょ。結構好評だったよあの時は。完全に荒れまくってる。荒廃しきってるよ。雨も降ってる。めちゃくちゃスチームレビューがたくさんあるけどバッドだっけいいものあった気がするけどな。またあるし。
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. To be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
そりゃ悪いもの取り上げたらばっかりしたらそうなるけど、いい評価もあるんだから、ほらここはどことか読みなさい。そこもそういう人はBGM が不穏だよ。BGM すっげえ不安になってる。なんでこんな荒廃しきってんだ。てかこれ何？ナレーターさんのどういなんか 海が見えてる。
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button.
スキップボタン。
A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
スキップボタン。あ。出てきたスキップボタン。もうすぐ作った。スキップボタン導入した後でどうするつもりなんだ一体。
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered.
Hi.
No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... The story and the choices,
繰り返した。
and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years. Until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say, the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are or will be at the time of having made said choice. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review. so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
終わった。話終わっちゃったよ。
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe
これやってるために
30,
時間ぶっ
45 minutes.
飛んでるとかねえだろ
It's
うな。
not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly...
扉すらなくなった。
You can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back. Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door.
あれよ、ハリーポッターの賢者の石みたいな感じで、杖叩いたらレンガが移動して街開くやつ。あれどっかにあったから探してみてくれ。誰だぞ。
And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child. Wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button, and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I have the power to prevent it all from happening, if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, 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 I know you too well. You'll be leaving me. Oh, my God. And it's all because of those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it. To think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
10、9、8、7、6、5、4、3、2、1、0。はい、次いってらっしゃい。
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it, I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment. And I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible. The spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then, this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid as I do. That perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival. If I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace in the darkness.
ほんの一瞬。今日は仕事だから最後までいられないのだ。ああ、シロさん。仕事の中見てくれてありがとうございます。ありがとうね。来てくれて。もうつい喋れなくなった。What is that? And the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Editions Live. Oh, I'm Vtuber, but not popular. Yeah, I will be many popular. 時間が止まったね。時間が進んだやつかもうスキップしすぎて時間が止まっちゃった。ビデオテープのボタンを押しすぎてぶっ壊れちゃった。これはもしかしてさ、もう時計外れちゃったし。ナレーターさんの、なんか、イシャリあるじゃん。なんか、バイタルのやつ。あれかな？めっちゃ進みすぎちゃったかな。
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires. Every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes, it seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves.
ほぼ落語と当
What a
然。
reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me.
まあ
Yes.
嫉妬するでしょうね。
Yes, of course.
自分
They've
も
been
こんな
jealous
こと
of
が
me
でき
this
るはず
whole
だみたいな。
time. They are mired
一部
in
の人は
fear and
嫉妬が多いと
insecurity
思うけ
and
ど。
cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words,
レビュー
to
に関する
finally allow these thoughts out, contained
な
and
ん
managed
で
for so
バッ
long,
トボタン
neutered and
気軽に押すん
sterilized.
じゃお
At
ら
last I
の
am free to truly think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with
言葉が
themselves,
これで
they
きない
couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such
長いな。
tatters, and my constitutional
よくこんな
willpower
に
are
取
so
ったな。
ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said,
ループしてんな。
entertainer.
ループボタンだけがかすかに光り続ける。水滴ってきたって。水滴ってきたって。
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end,
終わりはなんてない。
end, is never.
なんか足ショートっぽいの聞こえる。いや完全に泡盛りしてなく。ここまでいったらもう風化するでしょうよ。もう枝だけが剣道している。時間も止まったまんま。あ、やっと出られる。やっとなんでここの壁なんだよ。ここの壁以外に風化するもんあったろ。出られるだろ早く。で、もうここまでいったら空出れるんじゃないの。風の音も感じるよ。もうあとぶっ壊すだけだよ。もう出てったってのかなですか。星空も見えないもんな。ああ。 上行けばいいだけだよね、これ。まあいいや。あ、光が。やったー、出れるぞ。まだ好きボタン押せというのか。もう出口見えたから行こうぜ、上に。剣だから。あ、なんか虫飛んでなかった。出れないし。相変わらずスキップボタンだけが、なんか、輝いてるし。ああ自然生えてきた。もう出る気ねえだろ。ポータル2でこんなん見たぞ。なんなら向こうに木生えてるぞ。ああ、豊かだな。豊かだよ。本当に豊かだよ。終わりがねえよ。100億年後の世界が目の前に広がっている、多分。ああ、一気にディストピアになった。一気に荒廃した。一気に自然がなくなった。幻想的な雰囲気がもうどっか行っちゃったんだけど。ここまでやってまだ壁があるし、なんか恐ろしいな。あれ。じゃあね。もう押せないのか。もうさすがにスキップボタンはぶっ壊れたか。やっとそっちの壁が風化したよ。これでやっとね、外に出るという。地球がまっさら。何も残ってない。眩しい。永遠の時。スキップボタンも押せない？押せないかな、スキップボタン。押せないな。終わった。なかった。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
なんか主張が激しくなった。
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
これまた見せられるのかな。これどうなんだ。また同じもの見せられるのか。ニューコンテンツ。完全省略に走った。
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
進んだ。 ナンバリング進んじゃった。
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
The end is never the end again. 終わりがないのが終わりを繰り返す。まだナンバリング、いや、ダメだろう。いやー、インベスターショークエスト。
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
完全に、いい模様だ。いい企画模様。ショーケース。ひたすらにいた。プレビューでも動画見せられるの。They are two doors 作ってる。スタンディパラブーの案が。いろんなスタンディ事務所なのかな、マジな事務所を表してるのかな。いいいいか。メナか。もうは、ザ・スタンバリブ・ベター2。増やすよりも、ベタな方ね。プログラムシスト。ザ・カラー・レッド。1から2。ナンバリングを進めることによって、もう完全新規のコンテンツみたいな。増えた。スタンリー増えた。双子になった。衝撃の事実だな。マジで。そりゃ自作にもなるわ。二人のスタン
Now, to
リ
be
ーだ。
clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
じゃあスタンリーバラブツ、スタンリーバラブツ。2という数字にとらわれすぎてませんか？カニあるし、カニのハサミが2本って。2。ミーティングあと2。やばいよ。シロさん落ちまー。了解です。来てくれてありがとうね。また会いましょう。おやすみなさーい。おやすみなさい。おやすみThis way to the show floor. New contents. Newフラクチャー。フューチャーかな。2だらけだけど。バスなんで会場にバス突っ込んでんの？事故じゃねえか。こっからエキスポ。エキスポね。エキスポホール2って。
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
なんだあれ。The button that says the name of the player that playing game. Here your name. ね。
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
確かに。The button says name. Name.
Jim. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your... Jim! Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim, rediscovering yourself. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
配信者とってね、ちょっと止めなきゃいけないところは止めなきゃいけないんで。ビッグちっちゃ。どうすんな、なんか、もうちょいなかったんか。押し込み付けのスイッチぐらいでよかったろ。
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable 2. They would appreciate what I've created here.
999. Red is new orange. A full new office. Second new. もうこれ体はビッグになったな。顔はいつまででも動画を。セイズジム。ネームが、ジムになってる。あなたの名前ジムになってる。これ引いてくるし。スタンディーパルの安心安全パッケージ。これマジで QR コード読み込んだらどうなんだろう。ちょっと待って。ちょっと QR コード読み込んでみるわ。これ、実際読み込んだらどうなる？ちゃんとスタンディーパラボル2のサイトに行く。マジか。わー。Welcome to the best standing. しかもなんかちゃんと、なんか、動画があるんだけど。これはなんか変な動画が見れる。なんだこれ。まあなんかクオリティだっけな。ちゃんとなんか作られてんだ。ノースクリーンホット。無限の穴。まあちょっと安心安全バケツと見てみようか。
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical. that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Bucket です。
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
New content, new content. マジでバキさん持ってくのこれ。
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
無限の穴って何?
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on. Come now, you've already made your choice. It's true that you chose badly, but we all have to move on from our mistakes.
Oh. まあ、進むか。
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
風になっちゃった。なんじゃこれ。雑入じゃなくて。セッティングワールドチャンピオン。なんかオプションの。雑入。
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Epilogue 後で考えるって言われた。無限の穴。あ、ガイドがちゃんとある。EXIT。A の9、これ K で K な。インフィニティフォール。フリーニューイージー。フリー実績。プルザレバー。 好きな実績を選びくださ
Now
い的な。
here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
いかにもやばそうな。
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
ぶっ壊れてる。実績、さっきの部屋ここだけなのかね。
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
インフィニティホール。あ、これさっきか。インフィニティホール。フォールライクインフィニティ。何ちゅうもん作ってんの？
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite fall.
作られてる。
You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. あ、降りれるんだ。観客たちもいるし。インフィニティフォール。 You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you and to talk about, and I've had enough of the hole for a lifetime. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability in marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point. It's more of a concavity, or even a very aggressive divot. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on. Is the, teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
スタンリー終わっちゃって。3カメ、4カメ、5カメ、4カメ。何これ。完全に競技の渦に、ね、なってるって感じが。あなたの水を返してないんだ。3歩始まった。何これ。あー、地獄になってる。あー、低くなった。あー、かわいいね。あ、宇宙になった。あなた自身を変える。あ、モアイになった。いいピラミッドになった。どういうハーモニーだ。 いろんなキャラクターに、鷹の爪弾みたいな。あ、戻った。怖いな。
Stanley!
What?
Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
また始まるか。また歌にするか。ああ。帰ってきた。
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
ジムボタン復活してるけどもう見たからな。このセリフ大体はもう夢見てるからな。無限の穴封鎖されてたりしてないまさか。どうだろう。変わってる。ほぼ無限の穴とかってなるよ。心のやつ見てないんだよな、まだ。インフィニティ。封鎖された。コンテンツ終わらねえ。系列に踏み込みすぎた。Collect them all.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines.
Correct.
And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
たくさんの手が伸びている。わあ。壁になった。コレクション要素。
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
あともう巡ってないとこないよな。ビーツ。K ってなんだ。無限の中。Q 実績。5がディスマップ。じゃあボタン性、が B。マッチが B ツ。バケツゾーンか。N がサークル。全部回ったりQ はあれか。出口行こう。あらゆるものが身に染まっていく。
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
カバンを置き忘れてますけど。スタンディーパラブル。
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Oh.
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Oh. 戻ってない。これも終了してデスクトップとか一体どうなるんだろう。でもなかなかかっこいいな。この無限に続くフロア的な。あ、でもウルトラデックスだ。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a building where he was employee number 4. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee... All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ニューコンテンツがめちゃくちゃ輝いてたら、まあやめよう。時間がもう一時越そうとしている。
Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it? Stanley picked up the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it was. How insightful the bucket turned out. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
終わらないよ。
Still no one was here.
コンテンツが終わら
Stanley
ない
needed the
よ。
bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his bosses... Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel it.
しかも2のまんまだし。これ一回戻って、多分2のまんまだろ、これ。まあ、2のまんまであることを信じて終わろうかな。ということで、ね、終わりはありました。ナンバリングは済みました。ナンバリングは済んだんでね、これで終わりたいと思います。長かった。やっとスタンディパープル1に決着がつきましたね。というわけで、おやすみなさーい。